Okay. Okay, question 1. Even though it doesn't say question 1. Here's the question. The Pharisees obviously disagreed with Jesus' teaching, but people don't usually arrest those who they disagree with. If you were one of the Pharisees, why would you have wanted to go after them? So just assume you're a Pharisee and you agree with the others that he should be arrested. Why? Why would you think if you were a Pharisee he should be arrested? Yes. It was what?
Testing my authority. Wasn't I'm hired. Like it wasn't like being cocky. It was like taking like going against what they were saying on purpose.
Right, and he's claiming to be a higher authority in some sense, right? And in their minds, there is no higher authority but God, right? And this guy isn't God as far as they're concerned. So yeah, he is claiming authority that they believe is illegitimate. What else? Why would you want to go after him? Yes. Yeah, they wouldn't want him to give this teaching that they believe is false. That he's a false teacher, that what he's teaching isn't true. And so they don't want him to put these ideas into the heads of the people, these ideas that in their mind are false, into their minds. But there's one more thing. Can anybody think of the other? Think about it's the Jewish scholars, it's the Sanhedrin, it's the Pharisees that oppose him. What's another reason? He's challenging their power. He's challenging their authority. They believe they are the ultimate authority. But they're not. God is. Jesus is God. So he has every right to challenge their authority. But they don't see it that way. They see him as an upstart Galilean that can't be the Messiah, being disrespectful to them. I don't know, this probably's never happened when you've been in a class, but I don't know if you've ever seen a student be disrespectful to a teacher. Never, right? Never happens. Yeah. Why would they do that? And usually the teacher responds to that, right? And in some way puts the student in their place. That I am the teacher and you are the student. And they were the teachers. They were the teachers of Israel. And Jesus wasn't one of them in their mind. Okay, next question. When Jesus said he would go somewhere, the Jews thought that he was going to teach the Gentiles who had begun to follow Judaism. Why didn't they understand what Jesus was saying? You might want to maybe have your Bibles open to the passage. See what it says. And the point that the Jewish leaders are making is that Jesus, when Jesus says he's going to a place where they can't go, they're thinking, well, he's got to be going to the Gentiles because we would go where the Gentiles are, the non-Jews are, because they're unclean, and we don't want to be unclean because just being near someone who was unclean made you unclean, especially if you came into contact with that person. So they surmised that he was going there because they wouldn't. So again, uh, why didn't they understand what Jesus was saying? What do they think about Jesus? Who do they think Jesus is? Yeah.
He's like blasphemy.
Yeah, he's a blasphemer. He isn't telling the truth. He isn't who he says he is. And so it goes back to their lack of faith in him or their misunderstanding of who he is. They're not going to understand until they come to faith. Okay, next question. Imagine that you were a Jew in Jesus' day. What might have made you want to side with the Pharisees against Jesus? Yeah, you might have thought he was crazy. Yes. Yes, they don't want to get in trouble. Don't want to get in trouble. They were afraid of the Jewish authorities. Um, and to side with Jesus would get them in trouble too. But I think there's another possibility. These were their leaders. These are the people they trusted. Why wouldn't they go with him instead of this guy that they don't really know? And so I think that's another reason that they might have sided with the smartest, best, and the smartest and people around. It would be like, I don't know, if one of your friends told you that Mr. Hubert was wrong about something in physical science, would you just go, oh, okay? No, you'd probably go to Mr. Hubert and say, hey, explain this to me. You'd probably trust Mr. Hubert. And that's a good idea because he's a really smart guy and he knows his science. And so you say, no, I'm sorry, but Mr. Hubert must be right because you're another 10th grader. Mr. Hubert does. And that's kind of what's going on here. What does it seem to you that the Jewish people wanted Jesus to be? What? A warrior. A lot of them believed that Messiah would and wanted Messiah to overthrow Rome. A political Messiah, a conquering Messiah. That's not what he was. Yes.
Didn't they want like
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Jews were God's people. Nobody else was God's people. And so they might have wanted him to be Messiah, but they wouldn't have wanted him to be a Messiah for people other than the Jews. A Messiah for the whole world was not in their thinking. Would you have wanted what they wanted? Why or why not? Would you have wanted what they wanted? A political Messiah. Yeah, if you were under persecution by a army that has come in and lorded over you, yeah, I believe in the heart of every human being. We want to be free. And if you don't believe that, talk to someone who's lived in a closed country and the things they have done to try to get out of that. I think God put into the heart of every human being a desire to be free. Now, sometimes that desire is rebelling against God because we want to be free of God. But in general, we don't want to live under the thumb of someone else. What do you think the officers meant when their response to the chief priests and Pharisees in verse 46? So verse 46 says this. The officers answered, no one ever spoke like this man. Why didn't you arrest him? No one's ever spoken like this man. So what do you think they meant by that? Yeah, there's nobody like this guy. There's nobody that speaks with this forcefulness, with this truth, with this understanding. And I think they also realized that he hadn't done anything wrong. And I think they were probably confused about why the leadership hated him so much. Generally speaking, the common people loved him. He was willing to hang out with them. He was willing to teach them. He was willing to heal them. But the temple police were just blown away by this man who was so wise and so learned, who had never been taught. I think they were surprised about who he is. Was this a valid excuse for their disobedience? Probably not, but I don't know that I blame them. But it also wasn't his time to be arrested. When the time comes for him to be arrested, he is going to knowingly walk right into it. In fact, his disciples are going to tell him, no. We can't go to Jerusalem. They're trying to kill you. And he's going to walk right into it. He knows it's coming. So they couldn't have arrested him even if they tried. Scripture doesn't tell us if Nicodemus ever believed in Jesus. I don't totally agree with that. First of all, Nicodemus, along with Joseph of Arimathea, went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body so he could have a proper burial. That took guts. Siding with this condemned man who was just murdered, who was just executed, took guts. And while we can't know for sure, that sure sounds like someone who cares about Jesus at the very least, and I believe probably believes in Jesus. So I'm not going to denigrate Nicodemus for not doing more because his own disciples ran away, once he was arrested. So I don't know what more he could have done in that situation. And then it asks, what have you done? Would have done in this place? I whatever you answered is fine. That's an important question. Do you have any questions about this? Okay, so we're done with this. On Monday, we'll start the lecture. By the end of the week, we'll probably be basically done with everything for this unit chapter, and this unit, not unit chapter, this unit. And I gave you your study guides, right? So you want to be working on that bit by bit. You've got a little bit of time here. You can work on it now, but do a good job on that. That's really going to help you on your test. Is that a reason? Yes. With it.
Close my eyes.